I don't know if any of you have had carpal tunnel operation done, but I managed to have it done yesterday after suffering quite some time of numbness in the fingers, certain fingers, not all of them, and obviously it's related to nerve compression, and so hopefully the operation, which is a fairly straightforward procedure, takes about half an hour to 45 minutes, and it's done in the doctor's surgery, so to speak, or the surgeon's surgery, and away you go. There's no pain associated with it at all because of local anaesthetic and modern medicine being what it is. So you don't carry a level of pain with you post-op operation. So it's a wonderful thing, really, the advances in medical science enabling that to happen. With some people, I believe there is a bit of an ache for a few days, and you take paracetamol or Panadol or whatever it's called in your part of the world. But I have taken a couple this morning just in case. The surgeon said to me, take some pain relief just in case. Once the anaesthetic completely wears off, you might get some aching. But of course the procedure was done late yesterday afternoon, and the anaesthetic was pretty much worn off by late in the evening, so I think I'm okay. I'm in the clear, but there was some hesitation for a little while as to whether I should get this procedure done or not, because a lot of people do have steroid injections, cortisone or whatever, and that can be very effective for months on end. And the surgeon was telling me about a woman who had a cortisone injection, I think in 2019, and the effects of that were so beneficial to her that she got through something like 2 years without having to reconsider the operation or reconsider another steroid injection. But she took another injection, and that took her through for another year or whatever, and she kept doing this about 3 times. I don't think they will do it much more than 3, so it's not a permanent fix. She ended up having the operation, but those steroid injections can delay the inevitable, I suppose. I chose not to go down that route. I chose to actually have the operation, and as it turns out, you're sitting there, your arm is off to the side, and you're chatting away to the surgeon while this is going on, because your arm and hand is anaesthetised locally, so to speak. So the rest of you is functioning quite normally. And she was telling me, as she was doing the procedure, that one of the nerves, the name of which escapes me, but the one that runs down through the carpal tunnel, was quite squashed. And so that's been released. And interestingly enough, the effects are not necessarily instant, but within sort of 12 hours or more, I find that the hand is no longer suffering numbness. I had a very good night's sleep last night, the best in a number of years, to be frank. So the benefits of this operation are indisputable. In terms of my own particular situation, of course, you can't generalise with operations and these sorts of procedures because it's different for every person. Anyway, just thought that would be of interest to you. Now, the other thing I just want to briefly discuss, we're all over the place this morning. I heard on the radio that the roads of national importance, which the government are looking at rolling out, or improving the carriageways, so to speak, run at a cost of $170 million a kilometre. Now that's $170,000 a metre. What I would be interested to know is what the breakdown is. $170 million for 1 kilometre seems like a very substantial amount of money, let's be honest, if you were the contractor and you were going to do 10 or 15 or even greater number of kilometres, it's a very substantial injection of funds into your company account, and is probably the making of a great success within your company. I would be very interested in an absolutely detailed breakdown. How much of that 170 million is tied up in council and governmental consents? How much of it is land acquisition, if any? How much of it is consultants? And I have a sneaking suspicion that a very substantial amount of these kinds of numbers is tied up in consultancy fees. I do recall when the Christchurch City Council was looking at the stadium project, which is now pretty much completed and will open in May of 2026, $500 million project. When that was being talked about, they spent something like $30 or $40 million on consultants. That does seem like a staggering figure to have a group of individuals looking at a project and saying, yes, well, I think it's viable and for these reasons or whatever. To generate $30 million worth of fees, even if you're charging a fantastic amount per hour or per day, represents a very substantial amount of work. And I think some explanation to the public at large, the taxpayer, the ratepayer, and so on, is certainly well overdue with these things, because we just get told, well, you know, the consultancy fees on this were 5 million, 10 million, 20 million, or whatever, and we say, oh well, you know, that must be the prevailing rate. It just does not seem right. I don't know what you think about it, but I mean, you know, this is not an in-depth sort of analysis of it all, because probably I could be schooled in no uncertain terms by someone in the know who could come on to this channel or make a comment elsewhere that I absolutely don't know what I'm talking about, and $30 million for consultants for a stadium is a perfectly reasonable amount of money. I don't think it is, to be quite frank. It's more than many people, or most people perhaps, would earn in their entire lifetimes. And for a consultancy firm to earn that kind of money in a 6, 12, 24-month period, or however long it was, is staggering, to say the least. Anyway, that's probably enough for today. More later.